Next video, I separated it. Oh, well.
Some economist who should log off would point out that, like, okay, sure, but Nintendo only makes Nintendos because they can sell them at big retailers like Walmart. Walmart's got to have that stuff because that's how the market distributes goods to people. If we stopped paying for goods, what would incentivize Nintendo to make Nintendos? Who would I'm sure some economist who should log off would point out that, like, okay, sure, but Nintendo only makes Nintendos because they can sell them at big retailers like Walmart. Walmart's got to have that stuff because that's how the market distributes goods to people. If we stopped paying for goods, what would incentivize Nintendo to make Nintendos? Who would manufacture and distribute Nintendos? Also, less importantly, all other goods. And, like, I don't want to overstate my case here, but here's why all of economics is fake. It's a fake idea for rubes and fools, and there are literally no worthwhile ideas to be understood from the entire field of economics. Every economist you've ever heard of is a fraud. We would still make Nintendos because we like to have Nintendos. They're nice. Nintendo actually stopped making Nintendos like decades ago, and people still make them all the fucking time. People build enormous, expensive infrastructure to preserve and maintain abandoned software for Nintendos at great personal risk. They do it better than Nintendo does, despite Nintendo making millions of dollars from getting to do it. You literally could not stop people from making Nintendos if you tried. I know this because Nintendo has tried. And that is true of literally every single consumer good you can think of. It is someone's passion to make.
Is every single consumer good like suitcases or plungers or paint or like
the extent that they would give up everything in their life for the chance to do it for a living, and they would find a way to do it better and more efficiently than any business could ever hope to.
Individuals can manufacture goods at scale more efficiently than large businesses? Why not go do, if they could, then why not go do it and have a whole bunch of people become millionaires? So that's possible. Just go outcompete like every big box retailer. Go shut them all down. Like,
also, hundreds of other people would find doing it pretty interesting and fun if they were allowed to do so on their own terms. People, literally, for fun, play video games about long-haul trucking, and you're seriously trying to make the argument that without the profit incentive, nobody would want to do a boring job, like trucking, or cleaning public infrastructure, or farming. Hey economists, what are you talking about? Why are you like this? Why do I have to keep explaining to you, economists, that accomplishing things feels good? Get the fuck out of here, economists, for real. What the fuck, you guys? But somehow, the Walmarts of the world have convinced us that if they weren't there to own everything before we owned it, why would anyone make anything? Why?
I don't know. I'm good, dude. This is, I've watched this guy's videos in the past. It's thoughts time. This guy's one of the most stupid, let's go that way. One of the most stupid people. Oh, God. Was it from this video, the shoplifting video? Oh, is this where does he, I'm gonna guess, does he justify shoplifting here?
Is that okay to do? Now look, I work on a platform owned by corporate oligarchs. I can under no circumstances advocate committing crimes. At least, not the ones that corporate oligarchs don't like. I could advocate hate crimes all I wanted, but I don't want to do that. It is against the rule. Shoplifting.
Hold on,
Is that okay to do? No.
I have shit I have to do today. I don't have time to watch this fucking moron. Okay, let's...
Look, I work on a platform owned by corporate oligarchs. I can under no circumstances advocate committing crimes. At least, not the ones that corporate oligarchs don't like. I could advocate hate crimes all I wanted, but I don't want to do that. It is against the rules to advocate for normal criminal behavior, and it's...
Has Matt Walsh ever advocated for hate crimes?
Not the ones that corporate oligarchs don't like. I could advocate hate crimes all I...
This documentary, What is a Woman? This wasn't hosted on YouTube, correct? So we're already on 2 strikes. He's a guy that I do not like. I don't like Matt Walsh, but we're already 0 for 2, but okay.
Wanted, but I don't want to do that. It is against the rules to advocate for normal criminal behavior, and it's actually enforced, so I would get in trouble. I could potentially lose my livelihood and my ability to support my family, which is kind of ironic given that, like, 95% of the
Matt Walsh does have a YouTube channel, though, right? Hold on, let me just make sure. Yeah, he does. Okay.
content on this platform is itself stolen. I definitely couldn't show video evidence of me performing a crime. That would be a serious no-no, and that puts me in an interesting ethical position because is itself stolen? I definitely couldn't show video evidence of me performing a crime. That would be a serious no-no, and that puts me in an interesting ethical position because obviously sometimes crimes are the right thing to do. You know, sometimes, like, there are plenty of extreme circumstances I could point to throughout history where virtually everyone can agree that it was morally permissible, even necessary, to defy an unjust law. Like, nobody's going to seriously suggest something like the Underground Railroad was immoral simply because it was illegal, and anybody that does suggest that is probably just a garbage. Now, I'm sure you could craft some devil's advocate using some absurdly strict principle and gussy it up with, like, a half-baked appeal to a moral imperative, so it sounds like you're not just being a weird racist contrarian, but nobody's gonna buy that. You're just being a garbage. Get a hobby, try knitting. But shoplifting is not really that kind of circumstance, is it? It's a bit of a gray area. That's the type of crime that virtually everyone has at least some experience with, even if they've never done it themselves. So everyone's got an opinion on it, and it can get pretty heated. Oddly enough, a lot of shoplifting discourse seems to get heated specifically because somebody made a comic strip about shoplifting, either a good, based comic, or a bad, cringe comic. And shoplifting discourse seems to get heated specifically because somebody made a comic strip about shoplifting, either a good, based comic,
Okay, the good based comic is just somebody shoplifting? Okay.
or a bad, cringe comic.
Oh, and then this one was anti-shoplifting, so it was a cringe comic. Okay.
And, you know, someone makes a comic you disagree with, you don't gotta be shitty to them, just leave them alone. Everyone agrees that there are, of course, times when it is morally permissible to steal. If you're starving, nobody expects you to just die about it. Most people would not judge you for stealing a loaf of bread to feed your hungry family. Everyone except, like, the food professor, of course. But, you know.
I don't think people starve in America. I would need to see data on that. This just doesn't happen. Even our homeless people in America don't starve. Starvation is like there's so much food here, and there's so many ways to get food. Even our homeless people are like fat as fuck in the United States. Now, there's arguments to be made about not having access to high quality food. I think food insecurity can be measured in lack of access to high quality food. But people are not starving to death in the United States, and people are not shoplifting because they're starving to death. This does not happen. Okay.
Reasonable people wouldn't hold that against you. So for the sake of arguing, let's ignore shoplifting that is done strictly to survive. We can agree on that much, I think. I'm not really interested in appealing to the type of trash brain who wouldn't agree with that. If you think people should die rather than steal a loaf of bread,
nobody is arguing
Milo
this.
yesterday.
Literally,
Enjoyed it a lot, Destiny DGG.
Thanks. I'm pretty
Could you
sure.
Tell us about the Telegram thing that happened. You rock. Sign of the Horns medium light skin tone.
Thanks. He just talks a ton of shit on his Telegram, but I think he doesn't know that people check it. I have no idea. I'm pretty sure even Ben Shapiro would say if you're starving to death, it's probably okay to steal a bagel from a fucking store. I think anybody would agree with that. This is like the lowest tier of arguments, but that's okay. We're just getting started. Okay.
I just gotta question your moral priorities. Likewise, I think most people can agree that stealing from small businesses is, at the very least, less defensible than stealing from big corporations. Obviously, not all quote-unquote small businesses are created equal, but there's clearly a difference between stealing from a local business and, like, Best Buy. We could get into a whole discussion about gentrification here, and how small business is a term that's often used as a smokescreen for a sort of petite bourgeois assimilation of places that poor people had once lived. Nothing is simple, everything is complicated, but generally, we can agree, I think, that it's worse to steal from Dave's Cool Soup Store than from Walmart. So, we will focus here on stealing from big corporate chains, since that's what most people tend to argue about anyway. That it's petite bourgeois and, like, big corporations. Obviously, interested in appealing to the type of trash brain who wouldn't agree with that. If you think people should die rather than steal a loaf of bread, I just gotta question your moral priorities. Likewise, I think most people can agree that stealing from small businesses is, at the very least, less defensible than stealing from big corporations. Obviously, not all quote-unquote small businesses are created equal, but there's clearly a difference between stealing from a local business and, like, Best Buy. We could get into a whole discussion about gentrification here, and how small business is a term that's often used as a smokescreen for a sort of petite bourgeois assimilation of places that poor people had once lived. Nothing is simple, everything is complicated, but generally, we can agree, I think, that it's worse to steal from Dave's Cool Soup Store than from Walmart. So,
We kind of just breezed by that, but okay. So stealing from wealthier people is more moral than stealing from poorer people. There's probably some level of truth to that, but holy fucking cringe.
we will focus here on stealing from big corporate chains, since that's what most people tend to argue about anyway. That's one concession per side of the debate, which should equal out, but I'm sure will make both sides feel as though I'm selling them short. From henceforth, unless I specify otherwise, when I say shoplifting, I am referring specifically to stealing from a big corporate chain for fun and or profit, or some reason other than strict necessity. Is that the most typical form of shoplifting? Probably not, but it's the one.
It almost certainly is, no? Does he think that the majority of people that steal in the United States, when we look at like the big thefts and shit, is it for food?
That I'm most interested in arguing about. Once again, even if, hypothetically, I believe that shoplifting was based and or slime-filled, I could not advocate for it directly. Even if I could, I'm not sure I'd want to be responsible for you making that kind of choice on account of jail. Whether or not I think shoplifting is ethical kind of puts aside the issue of whether or not it is a good idea to do. Please use appropriate caution and do not base major life decisions about what crimes you should or should not commit based on what a YouTuber talking head told you. This is an opinion piece. So it's not, you can't show this video in court. They won't accept it. Pro-shoplifter people, and full disclosure, this is the side I tend to be more sympathetic with, in case you couldn't tell already, will claim that anti-shoplifters are just bootlicking sycophants, brainwashed into believing corporate propaganda. And if that's the case, maybe then we should try to be a little sympathetic to people who are affected by said propaganda, because I don't think it makes a lot of sense to get angry at someone for believing something they have been brainwashed about. Anti-shoplifting people tend to argue that shoplifting is bad for the vulnerable employees of large corporations, that the cost of shoplifting trickles down and harms innocent people, that shoplifters may believe their crimes are victimless, or at the very least, the victims of their crimes are people who kind of deserve it, but that's just a convenient excuse to justify doing whatever suits their selfish impulses. Right away, I think we can see some common ground here. Putting aside, for now, the issue of who exactly, if anyone, is hurt by shoplifting, it seems like we already agree that if it were to affect only the bottom line of rich corporations, that'd be more or less fine. Even if you think it's bad in some abstract sense, it's hard to get mad about.
Watch me steal
like, 'cause we care.
entertainment from my streamer. He will never see a D. Fuck.
The harm only matters if and when that harm begins to affect regular people who might actually lose something in the process. When the company passes the...
I don't know what I can say. I don't want to get banned, actually. I don't like these people. I don't want any of these people in my society. I actually really don't. Like as much as I would hate, like, a fundy, like, Islam fucking suicide bomber or, like, any other... Like, I don't want these people living in my country, ever. Like, I think they should be expelled. Holy shit. Like, to come out and just, like, make videos, like, justifying, like, yeah, so this is why, like, stealing is good. Like, what commandment is that? There's like 6 or 7 of these where, like, if you break them, you're probably just not fit for human society. There we go. This one. Don't steal. There's some pretty basic ones. Like, don't kill people. Don't steal from people. I feel like if you can't abide by that, or if you're trying to make, like,
give us your thoughts on the Milo debate.
Yeah.
Personally, I thought Milo was horrible.
Well, okay, yeah. He was. They just shouldn't be here. Just go somewhere else. Actually, like, forcibly expel people that think that you could, like, justify it. It's actually so insane to me.
The damage down to their employees rather than absorb it themselves. I think, though, the degree to which this actually happens is dramatically overstated. Anyone who's ever worked one of these jobs can tell you they're paying you as little as they can possibly get away with, no matter what. They don't give a shit if their employees are preventing shoplifters. They're going to squeeze them as hard as they can, period. To wit, the greatest form of theft is almost universally not shoplifting, not robbery, not car theft, but wage theft. And, that's putting aside the...
It's not... These are two... I like how they call it, like, wage theft. Like, it's the same type of thing. Like, if people are shorting their employees' wages by one means or another, and I've seen a lot of different ways that people measure this, obviously that's wrong. Like, that's not good. But it's not like theft in the traditional sense, like somebody's stealing something from a store. They're two kind of different things. But also, again, they're not. It's not the same thing. Also, I wonder who wage thefts more, big business or small business. I'm super curious on that. I wonder if he links a study of, like, well, where does the wage theft occur? I'm sure that by absolute number, it's probably big business. But I wonder by per capita, like per employee hired. Yeah, I don't know.
The theft of surplus value in the first place, like all wage labor, could be said to be a form of theft. Also, we don't tend to count in these studies the theft of, say, a continent. Often this is framed around the idea of how theft will affect the store's bonuses, or the rate that they give out raises, or the hours they give their workers, or whatever. And, like,
isn't shorting a wage easier to do accidentally compared to shoplifting? I feel we should I feel like I looked into this at one point, like, how is wage theft calculated? And I feel like some of the ways that they, on like the largest study that accounts for it, it'll say things like what was it? Like, if you clock out early or clock in late, or it was just like a really weird way of calculating it. Like, when people talk about wage theft, in my mind, what comes to mind is like, wow, your employer's actually stealing money from you. Like, they're taking money from your wages somehow. But I don't think that the way that wage theft is calculated, it's not usually like that. It has to do with, like, weird clock shit, I think. But I'll go and look this up. Or fuck it, we can just I don't have time to, like. What is wage theft? Examples of wage theft include paying less than minimum wage, not paying workers overtime, not allowing workers to take meal and rest breaks, requiring off-the-clock work, or taking workers' tips. So about half of this is minimum wage violations. Does this mean that they're employing illegal immigrants? Isn't that the only way to pay less than minimum wage? Unless you're paying cash, obviously. Like, but that's, you got a whole bunch of illegal shit. Tipped employees? How are you paying tipped employees less than minimum wage? Cash in hand for local workers or those under. Yeah, if you're paying cash, you could do it. But there's a whole bunch of dumb shit. It's like $3. Minimum wage for servers is like $2.13 an hour. That's not paying less than minimum wage though. Tipped positions have a lower minimum wage. Tipped jobs in certain states go below. No. I'm pretty sure there's a tipped minimum wage. That's different than paying less than, like, actually minimum wage or whatever. If you're a tipped employee and you don't get less than minimum wage from tips, your employer has to pay that. Yes, that's true. Although I'm almost positive you would be immediately fucking fired from your job if you somehow found a way to make less than minimum wage in a fucking tip position. I'm pretty sure you would just get fired immediately. Less than normal, not the tipped wage. Thoughts on tip culture, by the way? Tip culture is fucking out of control. It needs to stop. Dude, now when you go to the gas station, I've gone to a gas station in Miami that turned the screen and had the tip thing on it. I'm like, bro. It sucks because I'm like a max tipper, okay? I make a lot of money. I'll do 20, 25% basically wherever I go. But now I'm starting to reconsider it everywhere. Now I'm like, I don't know if I should tip any of you motherfuckers. Like, y'all are making way too much money. Sitting behind the counter, do you want a $1 tip for me getting a thing and bringing it to you for you to ring up? The fuck? Organized Retail Thieves Most Wanted List. Survey reveals which items are most likely to be stolen from these stores. Organized Retail Time has contributed to $94.5 billion. Holy shit. Wait, is that in 1 year? 2022 survey. Wait. Is that bigger than all of the... Oh, so that's even more than the wage theft. So he just lied. He just lied. Okay, hold on. Federal Wage and Hour Division investigation 2021 found, on average, $1,211.70 for each employee due back wages. The federal government might not know it. I don't need... How? Why, damn. I wonder what this is about. I wonder what... Back wages. Work to ensure working people in the U.S. who the wages protections are earned, blah, blah, blah. Oh, this just links to this. This doesn't tell me anything. I wonder how much heavy lifting average is doing here. Failure to pay overtime. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of how, because for every job that I've worked, and obviously I'm sure it's different, but for every job that I've worked, like there's a clock. Like you clock in and you clock out, and it's pretty strict. Like if you were cheating the clock, you'd have to go to payroll, HR. You'd have to go to a whole other department and tell them to cook the books. Like it would be almost impossible. So I'm curious how you would like not pay somebody overtime. Now in a small business, I think you probably could, but. A lot of jobs have timesheets where you fill out how long you work. My industry has it. Okay, Doombug, you're British, okay? You guys probably don't have clocks yet, okay? And Big Ben is under construction constantly, so you guys don't know. Studies have found inflated rates of wage theft violations in markets employing women and foreign-born populations. And there are indications that wage exploitation and wage theft are among key motivations for employers hiring migrant workers. And the former population will be at much greater risk for wage violation. Undocumented workers are unauthorized immigrants stood at the highest risk levels. That makes sense. Education, longer tenured employment, and English proficiency work to be influential factors in employee populations. All three variables reduce the probability of wage theft for the aforementioned workplaces where the compensation was paid in one weekly flat rate or in cash. Yeah, for sure. Saw a higher instance of wage theft. Smaller businesses with less than 100 employees also saw a higher instance of rate of violations than larger businesses in one city, manufacturing industry, repair service, and private home employment. Highest risk of violation. Okay, makes more sense. Destiny, places consider stuff not clocking out to use the bathroom wage theft. I've only had 3 real jobs. How many? McDonald's, casino, work study, and paper route. 2 real jobs? I've never heard of anybody clocking out to use the bathroom before. Do people do this? That's possible, I guess, but I've never heard of that in my entire life in any type of job ever. Carpet cleaning? Oh, I wasn't like on the clock for carpet cleaning. I wasn't on the clock for paper route either.
If you're coming here to see
Jesus.
evil,
Okay.
they didn't have to deal with the loss to their profit margins caused by shoplifting is extremely naive in my opinion. Because why would they? Why wouldn't they just keep the money? That's what they're trying to loss is, or the rate that they give out raises, or the hours they give their workers, or whatever. And like, the idea that companies would be willing to pay their employees more money if they didn't have to deal with the loss to their profit margins caused by shoplifting is extremely naive in my opinion. Because why would they? Why wouldn't they just keep the money? That's what they're trying to do, to have all of the money. Likewise, the idea that they might reduce their hours or hire fewer people as a result of shoplifting losses operates on the same assumption that a company would, for whatever reason, be willing to pay more than it absolutely needed to pay as...
Well, no, the stores just close. That's what happens when you shoplift in certain neighborhoods. I also really want, I really wish these fucking losers with the rich moms and dads that have lived in expensive suburbs their whole life, I wish you could go and shop in like poor neighborhoods or shitty neighborhoods. Bro, nothing is more mindfucky than LA, where I swear to God, you could be in one place that's like all lit up, all nice and bright, and you can walk like 10 minutes and you run into gas stations that you can't even go inside past like fucking 6 o'clock because it's all locked down, and you've got to talk to the guy through the window because they won't even let anybody in the fucking store to buy anything. Or where you go to places and like the deodorant is behind a locked case. The deodorant is behind a locked case, okay? Shit sucks. It feels horrible. It feels gross. Ugh.
What? A reward for good behavior? They will always operate with as few people as they feel they can get away with. In fact, if anything, the threat of shoplifting probably incentivizes them to have more employees working at any given time. For decades now, people have been predicting that the rise of automated checkouts would result in huge losses of entry-level jobs in the service sector. Turns out it didn't, specifically because these companies still want people around on account of shoplifting. So therefore, it could be argued shoplifters are job creators. As an aside here, Walmart makes money from their employees. That's why there's a Walmart. What we call Walmart is like a legal abstraction, an entity that exists solely to profit from the labor of others. Walmart doesn't do things, it gets other people to do things and then takes the money. Without others doing that labor, there isn't a Walmart. The idea that if Walmart starts losing money, that they're going to start firing people rests on the assumption that hiring people is like a favor Walmart is doing for them, as though Walmart hires employees to give back to the community instead of needing those workers to function. I think it speaks to a wider assumption about the way that corporations have trained us to look at jobs, as though we should be grateful for them, for the opportunity.
It's just so stupid. I'm so glad BreadTube died, this stupid subreddit with all these stupid content creators that nobody gives a fuck anymore. I noticed this the other day, because I thought about this, because like obviously I've outlasted a ton of my haters. One of the things that sucks is you never actually get to feel good when your haters disappear because they're gone and you don't see them anymore. Yeah, because they just kind of like fade away. I'm glad this dog shit fucking subreddit died. Fuck all these people. Just take a moment to remember this horrible place. These guys thought that they were going to be the next big thing on the internet, and they died in like a year. Did you see the Young Turks having their own left yard? Yeah, I need to try to talk to Anna or Chank would be interesting.
For them to profit off of us, when in reality, of course, they benefit from the